Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's better on draft.
Welcome, everybody, to the news portion of Better on Draft, July 28th, 2023. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate it. If you have not listened to the episode with Jim McCune, episode 323 of Better on Draft, go back and listen to it. Of course, we are live Friday night starting at 7:15 p.m. Eastern on Kick, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube all at the same time. So come join us. We would appreciate it. I think we're also on X, that's what it's called now. We are on X officially. We're going to have to update the logos on top. I'm going to go around and see what everybody is drinking, but I'm going to start with myself this time because next week we are going to be live on site with this guest, and that is Loaded Dice as I'm drinking Birth of the Fat King. Wendy, what do you got?
I am still drinking my favorite homebrewer 19 Normals Hefeweizen, but I also pulled out an Ascension Let Them Drink Cake Sour. It's delicious. One of my favorites. And I found it during the power outage in my fridge, so it needs to be drank.
Perfect. Dan, what do you got?
I decided to turn up the heat a little bit. We're going to go with the Bottle Logic Dark Rituals.
After the barrel-aged beer you just drank, it's a turn up the heat.
One. Yeah, we're going to turn up the heat.
All right. We do have another guest host. Welcome in. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. And, of course, tell us what you're drinking.
What's up? My name is Dennis. I am the writer at the pintsizereview.com. And I am drinking, it was a gift given to me from Ghost Town Brewing over in Oakland, California. It's called Cave Dweller. I figured it was appropriate. I realized it kind of looked like one today. So, yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty decent West Coast Pilsner.
I don't know what a West Coast Pilsner is, so I'm going to have to take your word for it that it is pretty decent.
It's one of the newest fads out this way.
Is that like a cold IPA, a West Coast Pilsner?
Yeah,
it's like wet and dry at the same time.
What's an East Coast Pilsner?
Where you dump a bunch of orange juice into a pill.
Oh, okay. It's I want that hazy Pilsner. That's what the P stands for in IPA.
Dirty Pilsner.
Italian Pilsner Anonymous. I don't know. As we go over with the news each and every week, we're going to start with Wendy. Wendy, what topic did you bring us today?
Well, I don't know. I can pick two. Do we want to go international or something close to home?
Let's just do something close to home. All
right. So the South Carolina has some new laws that went into effect at the beginning of the summer. Here at Better on Draft, we like to see changes in beer laws that are beneficial to both the breweries and the consumers. And according to South Carolina Brewers Guild, the South Carolina Craft Beer Economic Development Act actually ushers in the most substantial changes to the state's craft beer laws in many years. They have two different things that have happened with this law. It increases the amount of beers that adults, 21 and over, of course, are allowed to take home daily from craft breweries from 288 ounces to 864 ounces. That's the equivalent of a jump from one case of 12-ounce cans to 3 cases. It also allows for the sale of 6-still kegs, which are 668 ounces, which means that breweries can now start selling to people with home kegerators. So, and the idea of that is to basically keep the money in South Carolina. They want people to stop going across the border to North Carolina to pick up beer. They want them to spend more of their money in South Carolina, which makes sense. I mean, it's kind of what we do. And the second change is that the law allows breweries with multiple owned locations to transfer product more easily from one to another without needing to first sell it to a wholesaler. So it's like if a brewery owned a restaurant, they could sell it to that restaurant directly instead of having to go through a wholesaler.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
I think we saw that with Wisconsin years ago when the Wisconsin Tavern League was like, oh my God, we can't, it's the tavern owners were like, it's unfair because you make your own beer so you can sell it cheaper than what we sell it for. this just, I think, takes away from a lot of that dumb laws that we see here in Michigan. But I will ask Dennis real quick. What is there a law you think that is either in Michigan or close by to where you are? I don't know where you are off the top of my head. That's like comparable that you can chat about.
For about like the amount you can take home, like
Yeah.
That's so that actually kind of just blew me away a bit, because when I was working in the brewery scene, like people just come like, hey, I want to buy a keg. Awesome. All right, let me get you a keg. Which keg would you like? Would you like two? And I'm just not familiar with that. That's why I was kind of blown away when you're reading that. Like, you can only take X amount of ounces home. That seems strange to me. And I get it. You want to avoid the idea, like, South Carolina has that 3-tier system, right? Or the 3 entities, right? Yeah. And it's similar to what we have in Michigan, but you can still buy directly from at least most smaller brewers, as far as I am aware of.
There are a lot of things like brewers cannot rebuy back from the wholesaler once you sell it to the wholesaler.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a crazy thing. I did know back in the world of Indiana, when I would buy 3 Floyds and bring it over into Michigan, you could only buy 1 keg's worth of beer. You could not buy more than a half barrel, because they didn't want people like me going from Indiana and bringing back. I think I brought back somewhere around $1,200-$1,300 worth of beer, which of course is also illegal in Michigan because you can't cross state lines with that much beer, because they don't consider. Yeah, they don't consider that personal consumption, which it wasn't.
They just don't know us, apparently.
But what about you, Dan? I mean, you've got, like, do you have any maximum ounce? Because you got a kegerator now. Do you have?
I
any,
do
like,
have a kegerator.
Any issues buying kegs, or?
I mean, it's an issue finding a brewery that sells them. A lot of them don't. We could talk all day about my second favorite city, which is Salt Lake City. We can talk about Utah laws all day long. For example, not being able to pour more than 5% alcohol out of a keg, for example. Can't sell kegs to consumers. They had the Zion Curtain law where they couldn't pour a mixed drink in front of customers to not affect, they didn't want children seeing the production of a alcoholic beverage being made in front of them. I mean, there's
children.
Yeah. So yeah, the Zion Curtain law is one of my most interesting ones. I mean, they were one of the last ones to go away from 3.2 beer. Even though you go to these places, we talked about it a few weeks ago, I was drinking a beer that was less than 3%, wondering why I had 8 and was still sober. So, I mean, there's a lot of laws out there. Where I'm at, it's the Wild West. You can do whatever you want. There's self-distribution. There's basically nothing. They even made laws where you could sell to-go liquor during COVID. So there's nothing really here in my specific state we could talk about.
Well, Wendy, what did you think about it? Do you think it's going to be good for South Carolina? Obviously, they laid out what they wanted to fix the law. People going to North Carolina and taking their money out of state.
I think it'll work well. I mean, I know usually when I go to South Carolina, I fly back. So 3 cases isn't coming home with me unless I bring like 4 suitcases. But I think that a lot of people would probably use that. I have friends that would go and pick up stuff for us and send at Lake Barrio and send them different places. So I could see that instead of going to Asheville, they would stay closer to home and send some of that stuff out instead.
Of course, you could join us live on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Facebook, as did Bats McGee on our Twitch. And he says, no beard laws is good beer laws, which I believe is definitely a good sentiment. But as we continue, Dennis, it's your time to shine. What do you want to talk about today?
All right. I saw just the other day, I don't know what everybody's journey was to finding beer, craft beer, anything like that. Best beer's beer in your hand. But I know when I was growing up in the UP of Michigan, one of the beers that got me to like beer was Leinenkugels, right? I think we've all been there. Go to the gas station, there it is. And I saw in the news that Leinenkugels, currently a lot of their workers, or essentially all their workers that are making their beer, have gone on strike, and I find that pretty fascinating. And I didn't know how many unions there are that works in the brewing scene. But it was just fascinating to me as I was going through it. Their last contract was in 2020, that they signed before all the lockdowns that we all went through there. And they, according to here, the Washington Post, the last contract was in 2020. Raises have not been commensurate to inflation, which has jumped about 18% since they signed that contract there. A lot of disagreements, and they walked out. It was either earlier this week or late last week. I can't remember what exactly. But yeah, I find it just fascinating, and especially if anyone else has been watching things going on, kind of newsworthy. You have the Writers Guild on strike. You have the Screen Actors Guild on strike right now, and UPS just dodged a shutdown that would have cost I don't know how many $1 billion to the company and trade in general. But I'm just curious on if we'll be seeing a little bit more of that as pay doesn't keep up for people. I don't know if anyone's worked in a brewery or worked as a brewer. It's not exactly a lucrative position, but it's a necessary position for all these businesses. I'm curious to see where that's going. And if anyone else heard or has any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear it.
I'd love to hear Dan first, because I always love Dan's.
Yeah.
So I was going to take a stab at this and I'm going to tread lightly here. Ken and I sent a message about this earlier, but Anheuser-Busch just had to lay off a substantial number of people due to the drop in sales of Bud Light.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens. Now, let me just make sure I heard you correctly. The Leinenkugel staff struck. They're on strike now?
They're on strike right now.
What was the reason that was it pay?
Workers' demands fair wages, requesting a living wage that reflects the cost of living, and health benefits. And
I think we're going to see more and more of this. Yeah, we're going to see more and more of this because pay isn't keeping up. Yes, as we just saw, that inflation is way down, but still there are. I mean, they could go find a better job paying more money still. And these companies have to realize that if they don't start, doing what they need to do to keep their people are going to leave. Plain and simple. It's as easy as that.
Yeah, absolutely. The people making the product of which the company needs to be made. And,
I'll use this example. If you've ever watched the show Undercover Boss, you see these executives try to go do the jobs that these people are doing. They don't know how to do it. So what exactly are you going to do if your people leave?
Yeah. Not their job. There's no way. There's no way.
Yep.
So I'm just curious on the industry-wide implications of this. It's one brewery. It was bought in 1988, and sold off then. But and I know it's gone through a bunch of different changes in owners. Who owns Leinenkugels now? I think it's
still Miller Coors, I think.
Is it Molson Coors? Yeah.
Molson Miller Coors.
Yeah. Yeah. But
so what they need to do is bring the Cocoa Shandy back.
Still got a can in my fridge. Don't know when I'm gonna crack it open.
If they hire scab workers,
it's coming back, baby.
Aren't they coming out eventually?
Here's what I think Dan might agree with me is that I think if two things could happen. One, if they hire scab workers, they're going to get a lot of money from outside unions that will, help them, promote them, benefit them, the workers that are on strike. Mm-hmm. And secondly, I think that if they do pay the fair share, like they raise their wages, I think you might see a lot more workers organizing, not necessarily in just the brewers industry, but the entire hospitality industry. I believe that there are some current hospitality industries that are on strike, like oh my God, hotels, cleaning crews,
Okay.
where, you know, there it's hospitality in the sense of hotel cleaning, but not in the world of restaurants and such. If they meet these demands, I mean, the first thing I think we just need to get rid of tipping together and just pay a living wage for everyone. So that's just my personal opinion there.
What
But
a thought.
I'm sorry.
It's like, what a thought.
But for me, like, I believe that this will allow for a lot of people who may not feel like they could labor up to start joining labor unions. And I think a lot of people in the restaurant industry, specifically even in the fast food industry, we saw this for a lot of Fight for 15 groups in the labor movement back pre-COVID start to kind of gain traction. I think you're going to see it a lot more as people realize that they can do it, because they don't realize that each restaurant can band together as one union, instead of each restaurant having to have their own separate union. Wendy, I know we've all talked a lot. What do you think?
I agree pretty much with what everybody else is saying. Eventually businesses are going to have to figure out a way to pay their people properly. And health insurance is really just no joke at this point, because it is expensive.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this out here too really quick. And Dennis, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But this is really against a lot of things. Ken knows me actually quite well. But I'm going to use fast food chain In-N-Out out here on the West Coast as an example. They're paying people $21 an hour, and the hamburgers don't cost $15. So you probably all know what I'm getting at from all those fights in the past. So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I think it's important to quantify what you're saying, and what you're saying is that the raise in wages is not a 1-to-1 raise in price of food. You're not doubling the wage does not double your cost. It's just part of your cost.
Exactly. You've heard the argument that if you do that, it's going to raise the price of a Big Mac, for example, to $15. It doesn't do that. End of story.
No, not at all.
They're not paying them $15 an hour, and I'm already paying $10 for a value meal anyways. When your value meals are not less than $10, I'm not seeing the value there.
Back in my day, I remember a Dave's triple meal costing $6.67 at Wendy's. So
why wasn't it $6.66? That's the real question.
Taxes, I don't know.
Rock and roll, baby. No, and to that point, and to defend, especially some of the smaller brewers, smaller restaurants, anything like that, they're on razor thin margins, right? You know, they are getting by on the skin of their teeth, many of them. I just don't have a lot of sympathy for a lot of the bigger, the big dogs in the game, right? They can't afford to make those wages happen. They can't afford to take care of the employees. It's a choice not to. It's a business choice. But anyways, that is my soapbox. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Guys, it was not me on a soapbox this time. It's weird. From the Facebook group, Gary says, side note, UPS hasn't ratified the deal. Several delegates are not happy with the terms. So as we are talking July 28, 2023, that's where we are in this moment of time. But we saw when Surly was union busting a year and a half ago. We also see the positive of what a proper union and co-op can be with Anchor. The folks who work at Anchor want to buy it from Sapporo and brew their beer as a co-op, as opposed to everyone, kind of being out of a job. So there's a lot of positives for union work. I grew up in a union household who, if I'm not mistaken, mind you, my memory of the 90s fades because 1, I drink, 2, I was a child. But I'm pretty sure my dad crossed the picket line, because I'm pretty sure my dad had to work. Like, he was like, I got a family to support. I can't sit here and not make money. I got a mortgage. I can't afford to not work. And, he was stuck in a position that sucks when you have to make that decision. But I know he's worked in the health industry where he's picketed and didn't cross the picket line. I know he's worked in other he works for one of the big three, and I know he's worked, been on the line and has not crossed it. But when you're a desperate person, desperate measures. So be mindful of that when the people are doing that. It's definitely not the mindset that a lot of people have that are pro-union, but I lived it. I understand it. It's a shit thing to have to go through. And you want to do what's best for you. You want to do what's best for your coworkers, but in the end, you want to do what's best for your family. And sometimes you got to make really hard decisions. And I don't think anybody should be blamed for that. But I want to go to a happy conversation, folks. If you guys went to go see Barbenheimer or the Barbie movie or Oppenheimer, as many of these movie theaters are allowing you to buy, as they have their own bars. A lot of them have pretty decent craft beers, cocktails. They'll make special events. If you look on our friends group, porchdrinking.com, they actually did an ultimate sixer for the Barbie movie. It's a handful of beers that we do not have here in Michigan. You might have some of them over in Arizona, but obviously Porch Drinking is based out of Colorado. So I'm guessing a lot of these are from the Colorado or Colorado-ish area. And sadly, there's no beer for me. If you're watching the video, it tells me right here, there is no beer for Ken. Barbie is everything, but I am just Ken. I got plenty of that shit in the 90s and 2000s. It is a reason why I drive a Chevy Cruze and not a Chevy Malibu, because there is no way in hell that I'm rolling around as Malibu Ken.
Oh, that's some bad energy you're putting out there, man.
Funny.
So my question to you guys that I want to bring out is that the Barbie movie is out, but what about your favorite movie, or the movie that you like to watch, the movie that you like to watch while you're sick or something like that, your comfort movie? I want to know all of your movie and beer pairings that you think match very, very well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this off. Because for me, my favorite movie to watch is when I'm sick, when I'm ill, when I just want something to mindlessly watch. It's actually Hot Tub Time Machine. The mid 2000s classic. It hits every single mark. It's got, fun
Just
time. Just Google it. Yeah. Crispin Glover plays a great job in that. Does a great job in that movie. So for me, Hot Tub Time Machine, obviously they are living in the 80s. So I would say that to go well, and I believe it's actually in the movie, OE, Old English, some malt liquor with Hot Tub Time Machine. You could probably time it to drink the whole 40 through the movie, pace yourself, play a drinking game, if you will. But that would be my movie and beer pairing that kind of goes together. And that the next time that, again, I watch it when I feel sick, but I think the next time I go put it on, I'm gonna watch it. But Dan, I've been one of your really good friends for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know what one of your favorite movies is. I'm a terrible friend.
I'm not really a big movie guy. So if I had to pick one movie, my favorite movie, at least over the last, couple of decades, is Red Dragon, even though they completely butchered it from the book. I'm more of a TV series kind of guy. And I'm glad you mentioned Hot Tub Time Machine, because a show I like to go back and watch is Mr. Robot. And if you remember, I believe it was season 2 of Mr. Robot. Craig Robinson played one of the best roles I've ever seen him in, if not his best role. But yeah, I'm more of a TV guy. Now you wanted to know my go-to beer?
A beer that pairs with Mr. Robot.
I don't know what would pair specifically with that. Whatever stout I have in my fridge currently. If it had to be something, it'd probably be something local, like a White Russian. Because it's easy to get, or whatever bottle logic I have to have in my cupboard at the time.
Well, I would think maybe since it is Mr. Robot, like think of maybe an AI beer
What the
or
hell's an AI beer?
a beer that's like the recipe was created from AI. Atwater did one called Artificial Intelligence IPA.
I don't even
Um,
know about these beers. Now I'm scared. What's going on?
Oh, well, as a forewarning, we're actually going to be we're writing for the local poor magazine, which is out of Macomb County, Michigan, and we did a whole article about AI beers. So go check it out if you're in the Macomb County area. Every single place that sells booze will probably have that magazine. Wendy,
So my favorite movie in the entire world is Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah. Oh my
Oh my
gosh, I haven't
gosh.
thought of that movie in forever.
It's
Wow.
seriously one of the best movies ever. And I think I've really been trying to pair what I would drink with that. I think I would pick something summery, maybe a hef or a kolsch, something light that isn't, and yeah, I would say it's probably a hef or a kolsch would be my pick to go with that movie. Because it's just got nice, like, inspirational vibes. It makes you want to be a better person by the time you're done watching it.
that's what a lot of beer makes me want to do. Makes me want to be a better person. Or at least a better person than I was 2 hours ago. Dennis, what about you?
Oh man. Okay, you presented a couple different questions in one question though. You said, "What do you watch when you're sick? What's your favorite movie? What would you pair with it?" Right?
It's what's your favorite movie, but it can be your favorite movie, the movie you like to go to, the movie that's your, what you watch when you're sick. Like not like what's the just give me a movie and beer pairing. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. So if I'm sick, I'm watching all three Lord of the Rings movies again. That's what's happening. Now, if I had
Never
to
done
pair,
that.
it takes about 14 hours. But if you're going to be drinking while doing it, I would say something to pair with it would be like an amber ale or something along those lines. Something nice and easy to drink. Something that you feel like you could drink out of like a horn mug kind of deal, right? Yeah.
That
Something
won't put you
along
to
those.
sleep.
Won't put you to sleep. Doesn't have to be super heavy. So amber ale, Alaskan amber. That's always that's an old classic. But Dan mentioned TV shows, and Futurama is always my go-to TV show. It always is. And there's a beer that was made by Shorts Brewing Company in Bel Air, Michigan, called Slurm Lord, and which is and it had I can't remember the name of the slug that was featured in that episode of Futurama. Slurm is the drink, and the tagline for Slurm in Futurama is "It's highly addictive," and I love it so much. So if they would make that beer again, I would buy all of it, and I would watch Futurama again. New season started on Monday.
All right. Well, that is everybody's article except for Dan. Dan,
Yeah, I got a fun one for us today. So liquor.com put out an article about the 12, let me make sure it was a 12. Yeah, the 12 best stouts to drink in 2023. So,
Oh, really?
and I know a lot of us are stout drinkers, and I think we're going to be surprised with this. So I want to take a couple of guesses between you guys. Dennis, I don't know what kind of beer you like, but
if it's wet, I'm going to drink it.
I want to go through this and see your guys' opinions on what you think that should be the best of these compared to what they chose. So we'll save the best overall for last, but best milk stout. What do you think the best milk stout to drink in 2023 is?
left
Ken, we'll
hand.
start with you.
Left
I was
hand.
about to say exactly that, left-hand stout.
What about you, Wendy?
Yeah, I guess I'll go with left hand.
I personally wouldn't choose it. I would go with something different, but yeah, it's left hand. Best oatmeal stout.
I'll start it off, and I'm gonna just say Founder's Breakfast Stout.
Good choice. Wendy?
Is Old Rasputin considered an oatmeal stout or a barrel?
Which one?
Old Rasputin. that
Old
barrel?
Rasputin would be a Russian Imperial.
Okay. I don't know on that one.
Yeah, it's
Well-
tough to think of oatmeal stouts. There's not a lot of them out there.
I think there is, but it's hard to like pick one that's like the
Pick one that
best.
they would pick. Yeah.
I'd say probably is the Poet from New Holland oatmeal stout.
Dennis, you are correct. They picked New Holland's The Poet as the best
Yeah,
oatmeal
baby.
stout.
There we go.
Here's a fun one. Best coffee stout.
I don't know. Breakfast stout? Is that a coffee stout instead of
There is
I-
coffee in breakfast stout.
All right, I'm
I
gonna
don't
go
know if that was
breakfast.
considered a coffee stout. Sweet Baby Jesus.
Ooh,
pick.
Dewclaw. That's a good one.
That is a great choice. I'm gonna say KBS probably.
Another good choice. It's actually Stone Zoshi Vesa.
Oh,
That's
that's
what they
such a
chose.
good beer.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. Best dry Irish stout.
I don't know, Guinness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
we'll
know what
just
else
go.
there is.
It's Guinness Extra Stout.
Oh,
Okay.
It's the one we were drinking in Canada, Ken.
Oh yeah,
If you remember, yeah,
I
you
don't.
do exact. Don't tap that night.
Don't tap. Great night.
So here's the one that kind of threw me off. I didn't know this was an option. Best oyster stout.
I can't even name one.
I know a Rocky Mountain oyster stout out of Denver.
I don't like anything.
Well, that's what I'm gonna
there.
say. Rocky Mountain Oyster Stout. Let's go.
No, this is
Oh.
Fonta Flora
Just no.
Brackish. I've never heard of that one. It's out of North Carolina. Best American stout.
Oh, jeez. I don't even.
I know it's like overload of who to pick for this.
What's like, but like with all these other stouts, like what's then just an American stout?
It doesn't
like-
say what the difference is.
I'm sure there's like what's the like a category and a definition and all that stuff. I have no idea.
Does anyone have any guess?
Me. I'm not very tall. I'm American. Let's go.
What's your guess?
I think he was saying it was him. That was
Oh. No, it's Bell's Special Double Cream Stout.
Oh, that
That's
was what I
actually-
was gonna say next.
That you almost guessed that.
It's actually a
here's
really
another
good beer.
one. Yeah, I want to try
Cal-
this one.
Kalamazoo stout or
It's the
I don't know.
cream stout. Yeah,
Yeah.
double cream stout. This one you might be able to guess. Best American Imperial Stout.
Well, it's imperial. Is it barrel aged or
No, it's not barrel aged.
Okay.
Are we all just guessing?
Speedway?
It's a good guess.
Gary says BCBS, but obviously this
This is not
it's
barrel
not barrel
aged.
aged, so
It's
he
not
might be a
barrel-aged.
little late. Bats
guess it's
McGee is
something out of
saying
Russian River.
old Rasputin.
That's a Russian Imperial. Wendy, what did you say?
I would think something out of Russian River.
It's actually Prairie's Bomb.
We
Which
are
is an
not very
amazing
good at
beer.
this.
We're
game,
not very
Dan.
good at this.
So
I'm
let's
stupid.
move to this one. Best Russian Imperial.
I'm gonna
Have we
go with
said it so far?
I'm gonna go with Bats McGee's guess, old Rasputin.
I would guess my beer, Go to Gulag, which is a Russian Imperial. But what do you guys think?
Is Big Bad Baptist one?
Big Bad
Ooh,
Baptist.
epic.
Is barrel aged.
Okay.
One of my favorite breweries. Shout out back to Salt Lake City.
They're great.
Yeah. Oh, they're amazing.
Gary's saying bombs from Prairie are barrel aged, so you lied to us, Dan.
I mean, I'm going off of this, so I don't think the regular bomb is barrel aged. I'll drink one tonight when
I'm looking up on the internet. It doesn't say.
It doesn't say it's
It actually
barrel-aged.
doesn't say it's barrel aged, Gary. I mean, the other ones like the variants maybe, but I think Prairie Bomb might be just a
the standard bomb. Yeah, I don't think it is.
13% banger.
I know I'm
But
new
what-
here. Can I have a second beer on air here?
Yeah, go
Yeah.
for it. Have as much as you want.
Sweet. Sounds like this.
But
There
okay,
you go.
Yeah, everyone's correct. It's Old Rasputin.
I was just posting what Bats McGee posted.
Yeah, it's Old Rasputin.
Well, that's why I
Two
said,
more.
have we said it already?
We'll go through two more here. Best barrel aged stout.
That's so. Is it barrel aged? Is it? I'm just gonna go with the goat, Bourbon County. Like Gary commented earlier, is there a goatier goat than Bourbon County?
There is. Dennis, where do you live?
Is there?
If it's Dragon's Milk, I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh, Dragon's Milk. Fuck.
And I'm sitting here drinking a bottle Logic, who I think are the kings of barrel aged beers.
So I agree. I agree with you, but could you create a general consensus barrel aged beer? Like even with all the Bourbon County barrel aged beers, which we actually spoiled all of them on our website, betterondraft.com. Go check out the July labels for Illinois beers.
Terrible choices this year.
Go find all the variants. But like when I think barrel aged beer, like, and I think Dragon's Milk, like I don't really think. I think after the fact, all the variants. I think Dragon's Milk. When I think Bourbon County, I think Bourbon County, and then the variants after the fact. Like with Bottle Logic's got banger after banger after banger, but they don't like. Shout
out to Seamus.
Thank you. I could not name a Bottle Logic beer that would be like the beer.
That's fair. That is fair. Because they're always putting out, as you said, banger after banger, and they're always different. So you're absolutely right.
That's the thing. Like every single Bottle Logic beer is going to be a 9, but what's that 10?
That's good point. So what's the consensus on this one? What do you all think?
Oh, it's Dragon's Milk.
Gary McGray says Black Ops.
Wait a second.
Mutbo on Twitch says Flying Buffalo. It's a Russian Imperial, but still barrel aged. I'm still going with BCBS. I still feel like it might be, since they already brought in New Holland, either it's going to be Dragon's Milk, or because they did the Poet, it's not going to be Dragon's Milk.
What do you think, Wendy?
I think it should be Dragon's Milk, but I don't know.
That beer is just so consistent, but I just don't think it has the dish. Well, it doesn't have the distro, but the Poet one, I don't know. But I'm talking myself.
They do have the
Dragon's
distro.
Milk does have the distribution.
That's the one beer that gets out around the country.
Anywhere.
Yep. Yeah. I could go get one right now. That's the nationwide distro.
So can
Dennis, Dennis, you were going with Dragon's Milk?
That's what I was saying.
Okay, it's Goose Island. I definitely disagree. I think it's Dragon's Milk. But yeah, so we're gonna go
again. We're not agreeing or disagreeing. We're trying to figure out what the folks at liquor.com.
Liquor.com. Here's gonna be the fun one. Best overall stout.
Oh Jesus.
I can't wait,
because I'm assuming it's not going to be any of those beers that were selected. So it's going to be
not any of those selected beers.
It's probably going to be a beer that I chose, and I'm going to fucking hate you because I feel like you chose this. Therefore, it's going to be CBS.
Okay, Wendy, what do you think?
I think it would be KBS over CBS.
Dennis?
Well, they took my answers. I think I yeah.
You can agree. You think it's like KBS or CBS? Which one?
Here. So you know what? Wait, I will say.
Not
CBS.
Which one we like better. Which one that people would buy more.
CBS had everyone was like freaking out about it coming out, and then they made way too much of it, and it was very.
Oh yeah, you could. I could probably get you a 2 or 3 year vert on the shelf over in my store near Ipsy.
Easily, everywhere.
If you haven't seen, go to facebook.com, see some of the posts that I've made of some of those weird ass long old beers. I found some OG Arcadia. Shipwreck Porter, I think is that the barrel age. I found the 2 year vert with the special glass on the shelf. I found 7-year-old clown shoes, space cake. They're double IPA.
I didn't realize you're an archaeologist.
What sucks is that I'm gonna be honest with you guys right now. Like I would love to open a beer store in Ypsilanti, Michigan, but after seeing like these two, like there's a reason why it's a wasteland.
But that's all right, Ken. We're gonna open a beer bar in Madison Heights. So
I swear to God, I get 2 to 3 text messages from Matt Bush a day to open up, like to invest in it. And part of me is like, you know what, YOLO.
I am too. We can always talk about that later.
What's the best overall stout according to liquor.com?
You ready for this?
No.
Deschutes Obsidian Stout.
Fuck whatever. Like, I can mute you right now, and I should, for whatever this bullshit you gave us. The best stout is the company that makes one of the best porters.
Yep.
I think liquor.com should stick to liquor.
Yeah, it might be right.
Oh God. I'm
not angry.
I'm opening up the link right now. The writer Sarah Freeman is a freelance writer based in Chicago. There's the little
BCBS, yeah.
Specializing in beer, spirits, food, and restaurants.
Awesome.
Oh my God.
Notice like Epic didn't make the list, for example, that you brought that up. That kind of shocked me.
That is an oversight. If
Yeah.
I was to,
I agree with that.
no, granted. What was the author's name?
Author's name was Sarah Freeman.
Sarah is doing a great job. She's working hard. She just hasn't tried them all, and that's okay. I'm not going to fault them. I'm not going to fault her for that.
Nope, not at all. I am denying you that because I just brought up her article for best sour beers.
Oh no!
And love or hate it, there's no Jolly Pumpkin on there. And if you literally ask any sour maker or any beer maker that makes sours in the US, Ron Jeffries is the fucking man.
Yeah.
And they will sing his praise. Like when we had Jester King on, his name was like a drink every time you hear it type episode.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, they've got Rev Brews, which Marty does great stuff over there, and they got like 3F on there, Allagash, Sierra Nevada, New Belgium. They're south. That's not even their nice. I have no idea.
Can I share a funny story
Go for
about
it.
distribution? Yeah. So you mentioned like, I can get Dragon's Milk like down the street here, which is true, right? They're everywhere. So a couple of years ago, I went to go visit my brother in Los Angeles. He's a cinematographer out there, and he wanted me to help on a short film. Awesome. We had a great time. And then the next day, we went to go see The Lighthouse, the Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson movie at the Alamo Draft House. Never been to one of those theaters before, right? And you got your White Claw. You ready for this? All right, let's go. According to Facebook here, Dan has to drink a warm White Claw for this. But yeah, that's what it says right there. Facebook, it don't lie.
White Claw.
Yeah, I got one on my porch. I'll give it to you. But
it's probably a hot White Claw.
So at the Alamo Draft House, about to watch this movie, and my brother goes, "Hey, they have a full bar here. They got food. They'll just bring it right to your seat." And I hadn't experienced that at that point. I was like, "Oh, awesome! I'll have what you're having." And I'm so excited because I'm gonna get some like California beer that I can't get back in Michigan. And then my brother goes, "We'll take 2 Two-Hearteds, please." I'm like, awesome! I'm not upset. Great beer, love it. Have it every day. So.
I think it's something to say about like what you can get here, but also the fact that if you were an expat to Michigan, you'd probably love the fact that you can get Two-Hearted over in California, as opposed to like having to wait till you get to Michigan. So yeah. I understand the want to drink it and the love. Obviously, he didn't understand like when you go out, you don't want to drink what you can drink at home. You want to drink something that you can't. Yeah. Even though I might disagree with some other hosts about how you should drink those beers, like you should just grab a pint of it instead of a flight of it.
You can get like 6 beers in a flight versus one.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what, Dan?
So many different kinds.
When so many people, when I'm usually the DD, I can't go that hard, and maybe that's why I'm bitter against all of you, because I'm stuck being the DD whenever I drive anywhere.
Maybe.
Dan's like, I don't deny it. It happens.
Yeah, okay. It might be.
I usually go hard, too fast. I order the pitcher of beer and I'm stuck. That is going to do it with the Better on Draft. Dennis, you do have a website, you do reviews. Where can they find you again?
You can find me at thepintsizereview.com. It's stupid reviews from a stupid person. So go check out what I got to say about a lot of stuff.
Well, we will be excited to see Dan's commentary there. As you said, it was stupid beer reviews from stupid people. That's going to do it. Better on Draft, the news segment, July 28th, 2023. We are not on next week because we're going to be at Loaded Dice Brewing, checking out their new space and doing a live show. Dan's going to be in town. Wendy's coming on over. So we're going to be talking to Jeff, checking that out. And then we will be back not the week after because I will be gone, but the week after that. So yes, stay tuned. Watch us, follow us on all of our social medias. Again, Dan, where can they find Better on Draft?
Everywhere. Rumble, Kick, X. Are we on Threads yet? We keep bringing that.
We're on Threads. We're on
Threads. I don't know. Pornhub.
Grindr. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Untapped, YouTube, Twitch, all that fun stuff. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Cheers.